Howdy, Cowboy Gamer here, and you're listening to the 4th episode of the Portable Gaming Podcast. Now, I've got a lot to talk about today. I will try and go quickly, but if you want me to talk about something more, let me know. I will go into more detail on it, but we just had E3 last week. There's a ton of information from that. Some more games were released and a lot coming up, so let's get through it as fast as we can. A couple of changes to the podcast. It's just me, so that's not really a change, but I am not going to be talking much about smart device games, new releases. I still am playing one, but it's just not something that's very desirable, even though everyone that listens to this does have a smart device. No one's really clamoring for smart device games, and no one's even asking me what smart device games I've been playing. I'm also going to be uploading just a single file to YouTube, the entire podcast in its entirety. Yeah, that was double stupid. Oh well. But I was breaking up into topics, and I did that because a couple people requested it, but really it's just not, they aren't getting that many views, so it's just not worth my time and effort. I'm also, as much time and effort as I put into last week's podcast, people really didn't watch it any more than any of my others, so that's kind of sad. For all the work I did on that, I'm kind of disappointed, so I'm just going to make it simple, easy, and I'll probably still get the same amount of views, so oh well. If you want me to go back, you guys are going to have to fight for it. But let's start off with actually one of my more enjoyable segments, just because it's games I'm playing, and I'm a gamer at heart, so I love to talk about what I'm playing. Starting off with Nintendo, as usual. I'm doing not as much as I was, but I'm still doing Street Pass games. Warriors Way, Ultimate Angler, and Battleground Z. All the rest of the Street Pass games, I really am having a hard time getting into. I've pretty much beaten them, in a sense, and Nintendo hasn't been updating them too much. Like the puzzle thing. For some reason, I don't know why, there just hasn't been any more puzzle pieces to add to make new pictures, and Cowgirl Gamer doesn't even have half the ones I do, so I don't know what's going on at Nintendo, but that's a slight problem I have with, but I haven't gotten any new pieces now that I have everything completed, so kind of sad on that note. Warriors Way, I just haven't conquered the entire land, so I'm working on that. Ultimate Angler, I'm still kind of enjoying the fish, and as usual, Battleground Z, I haven't beaten, but I'm just really struggling to keep playing that game. It's just kind of, when I get Street Passes and I get my 10, I force myself to play these 3, and it's kind of sad that I'm forcing it, but I want to use those Street Passes while I have it, and I don't want to get extras and not get a use out of it. I fell back into Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on the 3DS. I haven't played it for a while, but I sunk a lot of time into that game. I beat the first story mode, and now I'm kind of replaying the story mode. It's just everything is a bit harder. Instead of one single boss that wasn't too hard, now I have 2 that are a little more difficult just because my armor's better, everything is better. And I only played one scenario. They're at most about 50 minutes, but I played through one, and it took a long time. It was really difficult, but I at least remember the good feelings I used to get with Monster Hunter, and I think I'm going to try and get back into it a little bit and keep going through, but I've kind of fallen off from it, and it kind of saddens me, but I at least got plenty of game time into it for my value of it. Next game kind of started off really weak on games I'm kind of forcing myself to play, but the one of Nintendo's free ones, Pokemon Rumble World. But I gotta tell you guys, this game is just dragging. I only played it kind of right away after my last podcast, and then I just stopped. And I really, unless Nintendo makes some changes to this game and updates it, I really don't think I'm going to get back into this game at all. And that's just because of the mechanics, to the free-to-play mechanics. It really forces you to buy the gems, and I'm still not buying them, but it really drags the game. Also, with this hot air balloon, you go up, you land on an island, you got like 3 different scenario areas of land or 4, and they have different Pokemon. But what stinks is when you have 1 Pokemon left, and you go up in your balloon, and you land, and then you get in the wrong area of land instead of the one you need for the last Pokemon. And that still just is driving me nuts. Now, yeah, you can just hit start, quit out of that level, and you can't get back into it, but it doesn't waste time. But that's just... it still bugs me. I know if you have all the Pokemon, the Pokemon you catch are going to be stronger than the ones before, but it's just the game is not progressing very fast, and it's starting to feel a lot like Star Wars Commander on my Android. However, let's go to a free-to-play game that I am enjoying. Well, free to start, kind of weird, but Pokemon Shuffle, another Pokemon game that's free. Nintendo put it out, but I am actually found a new love for this game again. I kind of waited a week or two after their giant update and then got back into it. And even though I just beat the last Pokemon that was available, and I told you about it last time, but I found some more, and I'm going through that again. I've hit some harder Pokemon, so it's really slowing me down, but I've decided I've got plenty of hearts right now, and I'm kind of what I'm doing is I'm waiting, and I want to slowly go through it, and I'm going to start leveling up all my Pokemon so I can get... I just have a ton of level 1s. I've got maybe 15, 20 Pokemon that are like the level 5s and up, but most of my Pokemon are just level 1s, and the problem is that each time you fight a Pokemon that you haven't got, and you have an optimized group, it just keeps bringing up those 4 because they're the highest level and they supposedly can do the most damage. Whereas if you got another Pokemon up to like level 5, it would do more damage, but it doesn't show you that, and it doesn't give you as easy of options. Also, I've been letting tweeting at Nintendo, but they really have to upgrade this game even more. Now that there's so many Pokemon in the thing, it takes forever to get. You just have an arrow to go left and right, and it only shows 10 Pokemon in your party or you have a 4 Pokemon party, but only 10 on the screen. So it takes forever to get all the way to like 200. And it would be really nice if there was a slider or some way of speeding this up, or even a search, even group by type. Something to make this better. And like all the other Pokemon game, or all the Pokemons of late, it would be really great if there would be a share experience or something, some way to take on when you're fighting really hard Pokemon, to get turn it on and get some of those level 1s to get some shared experience, to start leveling up some of those 1s so that they're not so low anymore, because I've got some really good special Pokemon that I caught, and I need to get them up to like 4 and 5 to make them really good, but I'm having so much trouble doing it. Also, for some reason, catching fire Pokemon is super hard. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like all the special fire Pokemon are impossible to do enough damage, and I've got my water and my Pokemon that do a lot of damage to them higher than most of my other levels of Pokemon, but for some reason it just is so hard to kill fire and catch fire Pokemon on the special nature ones. Maybe another thing that might be useful is grouping these Pokemon by type. That might be nice, or having a search thing that says put all the Pokemon that do more damage or have the boost to damage against the Pokemon you're fighting at the front, or be able to push them to the front, and then by level. So you hit a button, all the type Pokemon that do get the boost to damage come to the front few, like 30 or 40 Pokemon, and then whoever does the most damage is number 1, and then trickles down, so you get your level 1s towards the end of it. But something like that would be super useful, and it would make this game so much more enjoyable. Again, I'm still going to play it, and I'm kind of finding enjoyment in the goal of leveling up some Pokemon from level 1, but it's just a tedious thing. But I'm actually put a few more hours into this game, even after I put my 38 in. I'm already over 40 now, so I'm enjoying it. I'm not disappointed in this game for a free game. It was Nintendo's first. I'm a little sad that it's only hit a little over 4 million downloads with 50 million 3DSs out there, but people will start to come around with the updates. I'm thinking this game's going to get a little bit more word of mouth, and if they continue to upgrade it and fix it, I think people are going to probably start downloading this a little more, or if they are trickling off, maybe some people get into it later. Again, on the negative side, well, Pokemon Shuffle's pretty good, but another negative, Animal Crossing New Leaf on 3DS. Now, Cowgirl Gamer loves this game. She's put well over 100 hours into this game, and I've got friends that like this game, so I wanted to give it a shot. And I've got people asking for fruit and perfect fruit, and that they would love it. So and my wife, Cowgirl Gamer, is not doing very good with this, so she's not getting these fruit or anything, so I figured I'd give it a try and help out. Now, there's some interesting aspects. You get to design your home, your island kind of area, your outfit and everything, but this game, I can't get into. I put a couple hours, or I think I put 4 or 5 hours into it recently, just to give it a good shot. And I forced my way through a little bit, but oh my, I don't understand why people love this game so much. I don't get the enjoyment. Yeah, you get a town, you get some characters to meet, but I do not understand the appeal of this game. And it probably appeals to a completely different demographic than I am, but maybe I just grew up with the Mario platformer side-scrolling type genre, and this is just not my thing, but I don't know. I used to like some of the Harvest Moon type games, but I think they offered more than this game, which is really sad. Again, very negative note, but let's switch systems. Let's go to the smart devices. Star Wars Commander, I am still playing it, and I want to quit, but I am on the last chapter of the story missions. So I've only got like 30 more missions, but now they're just slower still, because I need to upgrade my HQ to level 6, and to then upgrade all my buildings, because they're all dependent on what your HQ level is. So if you only have an HQ of 3, all your buildings can't go over level 3. And again, as you get to the higher levels, they just take longer. So I'm upgrading my HQ to level 6, and it's taking like 6 days. Unless I want to spend money to speed that up. But waiting 6 days and only having 2 droids to upgrade buildings, it just grates me. This game is the epitome of free-to-play smart device games. This is the game you don't want to see. The game that they're going to find people that are going to spend money to beat this game, but if you don't want to, it is going to give you gray hairs. And I'm sorry to say that. It's the Star Wars name. It has some good gameplay. It's got some fun mechanics, but the wait times are ridiculous. It's seriously, you might as well put 6 months behind this game before, if you don't want to spend any money, because it probably would be better if I would have picked 6 or so different games like this, so that I could just swap between all of them. But then again, it's just me swapping between different games and doing the same thing. I'll play. I only play for maybe a minute every 8 hours or so, which just drives me up the wall. When I am able to actually do another mission, it's going to be great, but it's still probably not going to be for a week or two, because I have to work on 3 barracks, and I need to get them all to level 6, and I'm still waiting on the HQ. And when the HQ is done, I'm probably going to have to wait 4 days for each barracks. So probably 2 more podcasts from now, I will have progressed 1 story mission. That's how mad about this game I am. And I don't usually get mad, but these games lately have just been grating on me, and it's really testing if I want to continue to play these types of games. I might just need to switch it up and try a whole bunch of different things, but we'll see. And that's not to say that I'm talking about handhelds. I'm still playing console games. Not as many, which is weird. I've really shifted, kind of. I used to really enjoy playing consoles, but I just don't have as much time at home these days, so I find myself out and about doing things or having 5-10 minutes to kill here while I wait for something, and handhelds just work so much better for that. That's why smart device games work so well, because they work good in those short clumps of time. But even now when I'm at home, the games on console are really great. When I get into them, it really, I all of a sudden realize I've sunk 3 or 4 hours into it. But, and I don't usually get that with the handhelds as much, but I just, it's so hard for me to get started, to push myself to start the game. Once I get it going, I'm like, yeah, I love this game. This is a game I want to start, but just getting that initial start, I'd rather pick up a handheld instead of turning on the console. And probably just because of the time it takes to get the console on, which is why Xbox One's always on kind of thing is pretty cool. But on to happier news, okay? Let's talk about the Vita. As you guys know, it's kind of been a new addition for me, and I'm really enjoying game time on that. I've beaten some games, but again, I'm going back. I really am working on trying to get some platinums on the games I've been playing and just finish off those trophies. So that makes it a little hard, because usually you can beat the game in like 25% of the time, and then the other 75% of the time is working at just getting those last few trophies that are really difficult. But Minecraft, still sinking a lot of time into Minecraft. I built my pyramid. I got all my 8-bit characters around the outside of the pyramid, so I have my Mario on front, Zelda on one side, I've got Mega Man on the other, and even though Pac-Man's not officially originally a Nintendo character, I got him on the other side. So I'm really enjoying it. I did debate for a little while of putting the Pip-Boy from Fallout. I saw an 8-bit version of him, and I thought it might be kind of cool to put it there, but I'll probably just wait until I flatten out another level area and then build another pyramid and then devote that one to PlayStation only, or just other random cool games that I kind of like, or at least like the 8-bit versions of them. And again, I've been working on the trophies for Minecraft, because once I built the pyramid, I kind of just sat down and was like, now what do I do? And I'm like, I don't have the platinum for this game, so I need to work on getting the final trophies. So I went into the Nether, and I came back and I had stuff to brew a potion. So I made a stand and I brewed a potion, and then I realized that one of the trophies is I need to swim in lava. So I brewed the potion for resistance to fire so I could swim in the lava. And then now I'm working on, there's a trophy if you go 500 meters in a minecart, you get a trophy for that. So I'm working on building that minecart system, and my mine system that I have down underground, I have a giant mine that I've been branch mining, and it's starting to take a long time to get across it. So I think I'm going to build a trench down the middle of it and put some mine track in that, so I have a way of getting from one end to the other a lot quicker than just running across, because it's taking a little over a minute now to run from one end of my mine to the other end, and that just is slowly getting harder and harder to do. But that it's still Minecraft is still fun. Yeah, I've hit the slower part, but the ability to just do whatever you want in this game is still great. If you want to build something, you can build it. If you want to make an elevator or a skyscraper, go ahead. The possibilities that people are able to figure out things in the real world and figure out ways of doing it in Minecraft, yeah, it doesn't look as pretty, and sometimes you have to put blocks to hide all the mechanisms behind it, but it is really great what people are coming up with, and sometimes I really want to do some of the things they do. I'd love to build a giant elevator system, but I just don't know if I want to do that at the moment. I kind of just want to work on getting the platinum for this game. And again, two of the hardest things are going through an end portal and killing the Ender Dragon. And it doesn't seem like it's too difficult to do it in the tutorial mode, but doing it in the regular game, there's one end portal in each level, and not knowing where it is. Yeah, it's in a dungeon. Great. I have to find the dungeon, and I have an entire world to go through. Yay. Just really hard to do, which is why I think for beating this one I might jump into the tutorial mode and beat it that way, but we'll see. Again, I'll keep you guys apprised at where I'm getting at, what trophies I'm collecting, and once I hit platinum, I'm sure you'll hear about it. The other game on the Vita, I decided to pick up a copy of Guacamelee. It is not the Super Tournament Championship Edition, but it's just the regular one. But I have been trying to contact Drinkbox and give them ideas on their new Severed game, and I really wanted to give them some money for Guacamelee. I still keep hearing great things about Guacamelee, and so I decided I've talked about it enough. I need to buy it. I need to beat this game. I need to try it out, this Metroidvania-esque game, and see how the combat is, how the mechanics are, the puzzling, all of that, and just see what there is to this game. And so I did, and this game, it was a couple hours into it when I was fighting a bunch of enemies and trying to solve a puzzle of jumping through and not dying, and it was just really weird, but trying to figure this out, and I finished it, and I was like, wow, this has actually got some really interesting ideas behind it. It's got some good just fighting, and it's got some good mechanics to it, and I really enjoy that. And yeah, it's a $15 game. I was able to beat the game in about 6.5 hours, at least on normal mode. There is a hard mode, and I'm probably going to do that at some point, but I beat it on normal, and that last boss definitely took me about a half hour to beat, but I was done with it, and I was excited about it. I enjoyed my gameplay with it. Now I am going to work on getting the other trophies for it so I can try and platinum this game. And there is the hard mode I told you about, and I want to beat it on hard mode, but I want to try and get some more trophies in normal mode first. I want to keep working on that, because if there are any trophies that are easier to get in normal mode, I don't want to start a hard mode game and then realize how hard it is and how much time I'm going to have to put to beat it, and then find out the trophies in that to do the same trophies are a lot more difficult. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm focusing mostly on Minecraft until that is platinum, but I'm probably not going to work on Guacamelee anymore at the moment. But again, if you own I think this is on all PlayStation systems, PS3, PS4, and Vita, if you can get a copy of this game, if you're a person that will beat it on normal mode and try it on hard mode, you can probably get your $15 out of it. And even for not getting 15 hours, if I just have it beat on normal mode, I'm still gonna enjoy it, because this game, it had a good story, it had some good moments, and I enjoyed it. I'm glad I gave Drinkbox my $15 for this game, or whatever they got from my purchase. On to some gaming news. Let's talk about E3. Let's talk about PlayStation's conference and Nintendo's digital event / Treehouse, all that. So, in the grand scheme of things, everyone asks, who won E3? Well, yes, it's a podcast about handhelds, but let me get into E3 as a whole. I saw all of the streams for the conferences and the digital event and a lot of the Treehouse stuff. if I had to say one major company, personally, I think I'd give it to Bethesda. They started off the conference and they did amazing. Todd Howard, really great in front of the camera. He knows what to give gamers to make them happy, and the games they brought were awesome. But of the major companies that make consoles, Microsoft. I would put my money that Microsoft won E3. Their conference wasn't really that great, but backwards compatibility on an Xbox One was completely unexpected, and for a while, I really considered buying an Xbox One. I don't have the money for it, and I'm a handheld gamer through and through, but I considered it for a minute. Not saying that Sony didn't bring some great things and Nintendo didn't bring some great things, but overall, Xbox just had a little better couple of moments. Overall, though, Sony had a lot of good moments that stayed on the high notes. There were some low points as usual, but they brought out some new IPs. Horizon. I and Cowgirl Gamer both watched the Sony conference, and she was legitimately interested in the Horizon game. We don't own a PS4. I got a couple of friends that do, but I almost could consider buying Horizon just to go over to a friend's house and play it on their PS4. Or eventually I will own a PS4 probably in a few years, and I will probably go find a copy of Horizon, which will be dirt cheap by then, and I'm totally interested in playing this game because the graphics looked great, the idea behind it looked great, it's kind of Monster Hunter-esque, it's an interesting game. And there's some more things they need to iron out, so it's not going to be out anytime soon, but the game looked good. Nintendo released a ton of first-party games, pretty much. Unfortunately, really no one's making anything or putting their games on their consoles, so that's kind of all Nintendo has is their own system or their own companies to make their games. Overall, Nintendo's digital event just didn't bring enough. Yeah, they released some things that people didn't know about, but there just wasn't that wow factor that Zelda was last year, or the weirdness of Splatoon. They brought some Mario, they brought some Zelda, not the good Zelda, just some random weird Zeldas. They brought Xenoblade X, but we knew about that for a while. All in all, it was an okay conference from them, but nothing super wow. And yeah, they have Fox, but again, I need to see a lot more because I really don't know if I'm going to buy that game. Now, since this is a handheld podcast, let's talk about who won E3 in the handheld department. And we're obviously going to give it to Nintendo. Why? Sony failed miserably because they don't want to support the Vita. They don't care. They don't want money. And again, they might lose some money, but they showed off a little sizzle reel of games, and if you paid attention, they only released announcements for 3 new games on the Vita. Now, that's not saying there aren't going to be a lot more games coming out, and there are. If you look at New Zealand, right after E3, they put out a sizzle reel. There was a ton of games in that sizzle reel, even though it was just a little over a minute. And Sony America put out the sizzle reel like a day later after it. There's a lot coming to the Vita. Not really AAA games, not first party, but there's a lot coming. But in their conference, they announced 3. And that was World of Final Fantasy, which nobody knew about, but it's a Square game. It's Final Fantasy. It's got some interesting ideas behind it, so it could come out to be a fairly good game, and some Final Fantasy players are probably going to get into it. say, hey, this has got some really cool ideas, and they're gonna get others into it. Other than that, they only had 2 Devolver games on their conference, Crossing Souls and Ronin. Not super great. Graphics, as usual, are just not great from Devolver, but they put out some good stuff. So those were their 3 announcements during E3. Wow, no wonder they lost. Back to World of Final Fantasy, it has some interesting ideas. There was talk about how you can tame most of the animals that you come across and then ride them in battle and fight with them. So it's a JRPG with leveling, but the idea of taming them, kind of mixing Pokemon into it and riding them and fighting alongside. So it's got some interesting idea, and I would like to see how that pans out over the next 6 months to a year as this game gets fleshed out a little bit more. But let's talk about the Nintendo announcements. Of course, the 3DS sold 50 million units so far. It's doing way better than the Vita. The Vita has been out, but unlike Sony, Nintendo is still supporting their one failed system. Sony's Vita is like Nintendo's Wii U. The Vita's been out about a year longer, and they've both sold about the same amount of units. And Nintendo understands that the Wii U's not doing great. Sony doesn't think the Vita's doing great, but at least Nintendo is still putting out games, and they're pushing to get good games on this device. I understand that there are differences. One's a handheld, one's a full console. Nintendo has really no third-party support, so they kind of have to do it to have any chance of making money to salvage. But they're not burning their consumers. All these people that have bought Vitas have to look for the third parties and the other weird games, the indie stuff, to get their value from the Vita. Sony has pretty much just stopped with their support. And that is a sad thing. I am really worried about if Sony puts out another handheld after this. They probably won't, but if they do, how many people are going to just be like, nope, no Sony, you burned us once, and that's what's going to kill some handheld gaming, because things like that Sony did that are just, if you're not going to support this, then why are we going to buy a handheld from you in the future? Maybe they'll turn to Nintendo, but they could just get burned out completely and be like, I'll just go to a smart device. I'll get my games that way, and it'll be probably cheaper. So, not super great for handheld in general, but enough of that. Let's get to the Nintendo stuff. Nintendo announced a lot. That's not to say there wasn't stuff leaked before E3, but let's go through all of the 3DS announcements, or at least the bigger ones. Hyrule Warriors Legends. I brought this up on my last podcast with it leaking, but I've played a lot of Hyrule Warriors on Wii U. The game's got plenty of hours worth of gameplay, and they keep saying that the 3DS version is going to have more than the Wii U. Now, well, not more. They say they're going to put out more new characters. There's already 2 new characters that are going to be on the 3DS that aren't on the Wii U yet, and that is Tetra and the King of Red Lions. And they've said that they're going to put more characters on. This is just a giant fighting game where you fight just tons of really weak enemies, and it's really easy for you to kill lots of things. It's a giant beat 'em up, but it's a good one. It's got the Zelda name behind it. It's got Link. It's got all the major characters you want. It doesn't have the graphics because it's on the 3DS, but it looks good. The interesting things I'm really curious about is, what are the new characters, and how are these 2 systems, Wii U version and the 3DS version, if they're going to interact in any way, shape, or form. I have over 100 hours with Cowgirl Gamer on the Wii U, and the characters can get leveled up really high. That said, I have not maxed out any of my characters to their max level yet. And I've put tons of hours into this game. If the 3DS version is going to be like that as well, that means if you have both, it's really hard to go level up one character in one game and then go over and level up Link again in your 3DS, which stinks. And if you have to level it up as much as you do if you have the max level that you have in Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U, and you have that same amount in the 3DS, I don't know if I can bring myself to do it. That if I can level up all my characters that much and then turn around and go do it again. That being said, this would be a great, I can't stress this enough, first chance for Nintendo to try and do cross-save. This is the perfect opportunity. They both have Hyrule Warriors on both their systems now. If you could level up, or even if they don't, if they just interact at the very start, when you load up the 3DS version and you go, hey, here's my Wii U account, these characters are all this level, and these are all the extra items I have right now, transfer. And you get that, even if it's just one time where you don't have to start from level 1, you can start from your higher levels, that would be great. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather have cross-save, so all your experience that you do in one could go to the other, or vice versa. You could totally go off on a day and level up Link 5 levels on your 3DS and then transfer the experience over to the Wii U, and you'd be able to level up a lot faster, and that would be fun. But Nintendo doesn't really do cross-save. They don't do stuff like this, so this is going to be a big moment. If they release this, we're in a whole nother ballgame. We're in a new chapter for Nintendo, like we have been lately, with Nintendo adding DLC for Mario Kart and all that. Now adding ability to cross-save, that would just open a whole new book in Nintendo. New chapter, but it would be wonderful. Next game, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. This is pretty much a Paper Mario-esque game. It's kind of mixing the two Mario JRPGs, Paper Mario, and kind of any one of your standard Mario RPGs, Dream Team, any of those, but it's mixing them together and putting them under one label, and it's got some interesting, there's some funny moments. It's cool to see how the paper side and the three-dimensional interact together. There's some puzzly aspects to that regard, but it's interesting. I'm not going to buy this, but it's at least an interesting game with Mario. Yokai Watch is coming out this holiday, and it looks like the Pokemon game. It really is. People describe it as such, and I think that's... Last year they put out 2 Pokemon games around the holidays. I think this is the exact same thing. They probably told the Pokemon developers just to wait on a game or work and put more into their next year's game, but Yokai Watch is getting the spot this year, and Nintendo, Yokai Watch is taking off huge in Japan, and Nintendo wants to see if they can do this what they've done in Japan and do it for America. They did it a long time ago with Pokemon. They brought it over and it took off. Now the chance is for Yokai Watch. This is a bit different of a game. It's kind of like the old type of Pokemon. There's only about 200-ish yokai, and for those of you that don't know, a yokai is a ghost. It kind of controls and does things and interacts with the real world. If people are fighting, it's because of a yokai. If the grass just isn't growing or something, or a car's not starting, it's because of a yokai. Blame the yokai. All in all, yeah, it's a Pokemon-ish game, and people might just buy this just because people are going to describe it as a Pokemon-ish game, and it comes out around the time that most Pokemon games come out, around the winter time. People will probably buy this, and it'll probably break over 1 million units, but to get much more than that, I don't know if you're going to, but people might try this just to see if it's as good as Pokemon, and if it is, we could have a new debate on seeing if Nintendo wants to go more down the Yokai Watch group, or if they want to keep going down the Pokemon road, or if they want to split the road and go down both. But the next few months up until winter, and then a few months after that, we'll see what becomes of Yokai Watch and if this takes off in America. But it's got some good mechanics to the game. Some of the fighting mechanics are kind of cool. When you go into a fight, to do a power-up like tapping the touchscreen a whole bunch to break an imaginary pane of glass there, or having designs that you have to swipe your stylus along, and if you stay in the lines, then you do more damage, and having your party of yokai, and then spinning a wheel to allow, because there can only ever be 3 yokai up to attack at any one time. So sometimes on this wheel, you have yokai that are ready to attack, but they're on the underside of the wheel. So you have to spin the wheel up so they can get their attacks on the enemy yokai, the enemy people, and do their damage. So it's got some interesting ideas, and I'm definitely going to look more into this game more. And if there's a demo, I'm probably going to try it just to see what this game is really like and if I can get behind it. Now, the reason I was playing Animal Crossing New Leaf was to find out if I was going to like Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which comes out September 25th. This is not Happy House Arrest like Brian Altano has been stating over and over. Again, he was perfectly fine to state that because all we ever saw was the inside of a house. But now there is footage of outside the house. We get to be the interior designer and the exterior designer, the yard, the outside of the house, and make it look really nice. So this game has more than we thought it had, but that's why I did New Leaf. I wanted to find out if I could get behind this franchise, if I would find the enjoyment that other people have, and I'm just not feeling it. I'll still get it. Cowgirl Gamer would love this game. She's probably going to want it for a present, but this is the game she loves. It's what she enjoys. It's just not my cup of tea. Fire Emblem Fates. Thank you. It is not called Fire Emblem If. Blew my mind in Japan that it was called If, but at least now that it's coming to America, they got a good name on it. This has got some more. It's Fire Emblem. It really is. It's got some of the same things we used to love. It's got the marriages, the relationships you build up, and it's got the kids. You can have 2 people, they get together, they make a kid, you can train that kid the way you want them to be, and I mean, some of that's really cool. It also added a new thing where you design your castle. It's probably a kind of a mini game like World of Warcraft or any other, where you have put down like an archer area or barracks and you level up people in there, where it's got little mini time where it's like, hey, let's upgrade your barracks, wait 12 hours, you need certain resources. It's just a little small mini aspect of the game, but it's something else new, and it's something for people to get behind. For those of you that knew SteamWorld Dig, it was just a dig-dug type game, dig through the things, kind of short, but the makers of that are going to be releasing this fall SteamWorld Heist. Now, they did a completely different game, same art style, but instead of any digging or anything, you now have a turn-based combat system where kind of like Codename Steam, but just 2D. You have enemies that are a certain place, and you have your guys, and you need to position them behind barrels or whatever, and kill these enemies and progress the story, but all in a 2D sense. That it still looks good for me. I'm happy with the art design. I was happy with SteamWorld Dig. I'm still gonna try this game out. I wanna see what this game is. This developer, not completely sold on them, but like Drinkbox, I think they have more to offer. I think they have a lot of new ideas, and I wanna see what they're going to be doing over the next few years. The game that everyone is super sad about, Metroid Prime Federation Force, is coming out in 2016. people did not react well to this. This game, I will admit, I wish it did not have the Metroid name tied to it. It is not super great for Metroid. It doesn't have that feel. It doesn't look super great like it. The HUD is very much like Metroid Prime, first-person shooter, but I didn't like this game. I'm not going to be buying it, or someone's going to have to do a lot. I'm going to have to get a lot of requests to buy this game before I jump ship, but unfortunately that's a little sad for Nintendo because the Metroid series has not been doing great, and this might just be the nail in the coffin to kill off Metroid, and I'm sad about that, especially with so many other Metroid-ish games coming out, the Castlevania games, all that coming out. There's a lot of great things like that, but Nintendo just hasn't been doing it right lately, and that's a bit sad. But overall, Nintendo, they're producing more handheld games than Sony. Well, not overall. The Vita has got tons more games, but all of them are indie and third-party games. Unlike Nintendo, most of their stuff is first-party and a few second-party-ish. But they're putting more effort behind the 3DS than Sony is behind the Vita. Which, don't get me wrong, I love both my systems. To be honest, I've been playing a lot more of the Vita, but I think it's more just the visuals and some of the mechanics. Since there's indie, there's a lot of more unique ideas on that console right now than on the 3DS. It's also just more, it's a powerhouse, so it can do so much more and so many more weird things, but time will tell. We will see how much Sony wants to kill off the Vita, and find out if this is going to stand the test of time, or if it's going to get sales even with just having indie games and third-party games. So, we'll find out. Games coming out this week, early next week. A bunch of these I talked to before, but I'm still going to bring them up. There was a couple of new ones I didn't know about until just recently, and they're reminding me about some cool ideas on these systems, and so I might look back at some of my older games and maybe get back into them. But for Nintendo, this is a weird one. It's still scheduled for June, even though there's just not many more days left for this, but Mutant Mudds Super Challenge. Yay, shooter, kind of Castlevania or Metroidvania-ish platform side-scroller with different depths, so jumping to the foreground and background. Kind of cool, kind of mixing Kirby Triple Deluxe with a shooter. Samurai Warrior Chronicles 3 comes out on June 30th for both the Vita and the 3DS. This game is so much Hyrule Warriors. I was blown away, actually, once I saw the trailer. I didn't talk about it last time, but this game is seriously just Hyrule Warriors. They probably took almost all of the same stuff and just changed the art style. And been like, it's got similar mechanics on the 3DS. And I just say this because I haven't seen anything on the Vita for it, but I know there's a trailer, I just haven't seen these for sure. But you have a fighter on the map, you have multiple fighters, and you just tap the screen, and then all of a sudden you become that fighter, and your perspective jumps to them. Probably going to be the same way on the Vita, but this is just what Hyrule Warriors is doing. And so, different art style, same game. I like Zelda more, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to jump into a brand new, well, it's not a new franchise. There's a Samurai Warriors 4, I think, coming out, but if I'm going to choose between two Hyrule-type warrior games, I'm picking the Zelda one over this. On Sony, I already said Samurai Warrior Chronicles 3 on June 30th. Also on June 30th is J-Star Victory VS Plus. This is a fighting video game that combines a lot of Japanese manga series all together into a fighting game. So a lot of the major names are there. It's just mixing them all together. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 3V Century comes out on the 30th. I will admit, I don't know much about this game, and I've been trying to find some gameplay, and I haven't been, and to be honest, I'm not super interested in whatever this game has to offer. Like a lot of JRPGs, these trailers are just super bright. They show characters, but they really don't show much gameplay, and that's really not good for me, because I want to know what this game's like. I want to see combat. I want to know what the story's like. And I can't get that if you're just throwing up a bunch of characters in 1 minute and not giving me the gameplay. So, again, just don't know much about this game. Blaze Blue Chronoplantisma Extended comes out on the 30th on the Vita. It is a fighting game. We got tons of those. Just another art style and different fighters. One that actually I didn't know was coming out, just popped up, but I'm kind of interested. Just seeing what I did see of it, at least piqued my interest. It's called To Leave. It is on the Vita. It is really weird. A kid wakes up, kind of goes through a door, and then he has to grab onto the door, and the door is going to fly around, and you might be controlling the door, either touch or by joysticks, I don't know, but you try to collect orbs. It's got some puzzly aspects, you're hanging on in midair, just using this door, but it's just a weird, two-dimensional game that I like the art style, I like the idea. The idea of just a kid holding onto a door kind of just intrigues me, and I at least want to see more of this game. And Tales from the Borderlands Episode 3 is coming out. As always, it's an FPS shooter. I've played Borderlands 1 on PC. I've been thinking about getting Borderlands 2 for the Vita. I don't know yet. I know it. People are saying the Borderlands series is great. I kind of want to know what happens since I beat Borderlands 1, at least the first part playthrough, but I kind of want to see what happens in Borderlands 2. So we'll see. This Tales from Borderlands at least got me thinking about the Borderlands series, and if I get some extra money to throw around, maybe I'll pick up Borderlands 2 for the Vita and see what it's like to play a first-person shooter on a handheld and see if it's all it's cracked up to be, or if seriously I should have just saved my money and got Borderlands 2 for PlayStation 3 or something. We'll see. But again, that's it for me on this podcast. I tried to keep it under an hour. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for you guys. If you want me to go into depth on any of these topics, hit me up. I can do maybe a special episode on one particular game if you want to hear more, but those were my thoughts, and as always, remember, subscribe if you're enjoying this, or just like it, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and if I can, I will try to see you next week. Really, I've just been doing these weekly now because of the prep before E3. I had some time, and now that E3, there's just a lot of information. So that's why this came out weekly. I might jump back to the once every other week, but we'll see. We'll see how much time I have on my hands, and if I'm able to get the views and the people that want to see this stuff and listen. We'll see if I can get this to keep a weekly episode, and I'm still trying to find a co-host too, so I'll keep working on that. As always, if you want to tweet me, I'm at DrinCallHar. Yeah, it's not Cowboy Gamer, but I created DrinCallHar, and that's DrinCalHar. And I created that years and years ago, and I wanted to get Cowboy Gamer. When I created the Cowboy Gamer name, I tried to change my tweet tag to that, and I tried creating a new one, but it's just not going to happen. So I'm sad about that, but I will try and maybe change my page on YouTube, so that maybe you go to my Facebook page or my Twitter account. So that might help out. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Maybe I said some good things today. Let me know what you think, and have a good night.